Welcome to session 5, shifting from a doing mode of mind to a being mode of mind. So, us human beings, we are extremely successful problem solvers. We are amazingly good at figuring out, where we are now, imagining where we want to be, and how to solve that problem. So, for example, I'm sitting here in Spain. I want to have a holiday in Ireland, and there's my problem, and there's a discrepancy. How do I get from from Spain to Ireland? Well, I go online, I buy my tickets, I book a taxi, I get a bus, whatever it is, and eventually I solve that problem. And that problem could be the most simple problem. What am I going to make for tonight's dinner? Or it could be extremely complex problems, landing someone on the moon. We have our current state, we have where we want to be, and we have the discrepancy between. And when we have a real world problem like this, we solve the problem, we close that discrepancy. Which is all well and good when a problem actually has a solution. But if it's not a problem, a sort of a linear type problem, when it's a problem of the heart, when it's a problem of our emotional and internal world, well, there's no obvious solution to that problem. And yet, we try to solve it in a similar way. We start to ruminate, to think about the problem over and over. And instead of closing the discrepancy, the problem actually begins to grow. It grows because what we understand about neuroscience, the brain is plastic in nature, and the more we utilize certain functions, the more successful we will get at accessing those functions. So if we're always worrying about a problem such as, why am I not happy? Why can I not get a relationship? Why is my life like this? Or some problem that just doesn't have an obvious solution or answer. We start to obsess, we start to ruminate, and we start to increase the problem. And the problem, it's sometimes referred to as taking on a driven doing quality. So it's like the doing mode of mind, the thinking, the problem solving, but it has this extra sort of valence or quality of striving, of effort to try and resolve it, and we're not able to resolve it. There are so many parts of our life that are very challenging, and the challenge, the solution is not to fix them, the solution is to become friendly with them, to make friends with what is difficult. So it requires a shift in how we approach the problem, in how we attend to the problem. So what we want to do is to cultivate this being mode of mind, which is a sensory and experiential process. So we're moving out of the sort of prefrontal cortex, this neuro part of the brain that supports imagination and abstraction and worry and rumination. We want to move out of this neuro part of the brain and move into older cortical structures, which are much more about sensory processing, about simply being with our embodied experience, how it feels to be in our bodies. Okay, so we're going to cultivate this skill of shifting from a doing to a being mode of mind, and through regular practice, where we commit to sitting in this posture 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, we begin to cultivate the neural structures and the connections, the network between those structures that allow us to more easily inhabit this being mode of mind. So it's not just a poetic state, it's actually a state that is supported by changes in our nervous system. But again, a lot of this is simply about becoming aware of what is happening, recognizing that our mind is caught up in this sort of driven doing, problem solving mode of mind, and to deliberately, purposefully create this shift to a more being state. You know, the word mindfulness, the original translation for that word is sati, S-A-T-I. And that word translates as to remember. So I always like that translation because we have to remember that we have this body, we have the wisdom of the body, we have the beauty of our breathing and the sensory experience. And we need to remember to come out of this new part of the brain sometimes, which is over-habituated, to change our processing style to older parts of the brain and our sensory experience, to cultivate this being mode of mind and to make it easier to shift into that being state. That's what we're doing in our mindfulness practice. Okay, so let's close our eyes, and again, this will be a 10-minute meditation practice. As always, beginning with an awareness of grounding, feeling the contact of your body with the floor, with the ground. Not thinking about the contact, but sensing the contact, feeling the points of pressure, feeling the temperature, feeling if it's soft or hard. And this is already a shift from a doing, problem-solving mode of mind to that being, sensation-based mode. Feeling the contact of your body with the chair, with the cushion. Spine is upright, creating that intentional shift away from the busyness of our day into the presence of the meditation posture. Shoulders relaxed, belly soft. Again, just taking an inventory of your experience as it is now. What is present? You can feel sense the connection between the busyness of your day and your experience in your body at this moment. Perhaps you feel tired, stressed, or joyful, happy, relaxed. What is here? What is present? What's the quality of your mind? Has your mind been very active, worried about something, ruminating? And the invitation is to now put that aside as we shift our attention to feel the breath in the body in stage 2. So becoming aware of the sensations of breathing in the core of your body. Feeling the breath in your belly, your abdomen. How does the breath feel in your body? How do you experience breathing? Just notice if you've become distracted into that problem solving, doing mode of mind. And then deliberately shift your attention to feel the breath into that sensing, breathing, being mode of mind. Are you distracted? Have you started to think about something? Problem solving. Just notice that. And return to feel the breath in the core of your body. Just allowing the breath to be as it is. Check in your posture. Spine is upright. Feeling the sensations of grounding. Feeling the breath in the core. Stage 3. Letting your breath fall into the background. Your posture is important. the floodlight of attention in your body. Feeling and sensing your whole body. Allowing whatever is present to be present. Sensing. Allowing space for the sensations in the body. Could be discomfort or pain even. For the emotions. Just being with our experience as it is. Cultivating this sensing, being mode of mind. Bringing your meditation to a close, you can open your eyes, stretching out. There's nothing wrong with the doing mode of mind. It's just that our lives are so stressful, it becomes over-habituated. It's like we can swing between this being mode and this doing mode of mind. And what we want to do is to be naturally able to easily move between these. But what happens, because our lives are so complex and stressful, if we get stuck in that doing mode. And we want to remember that we have this ability to feel, to sense, to be with our experience in a sensory way. And if something is difficult in your life, if you're going through a difficult time, well, what tends to happen is we begin to obsess on it, get stuck on it, and we get really stuck in that doing mode. But if we can connect to that being mode, there's so much wisdom there. There's so much ability to be with our difficulty in a different way and to be able to process that difficulty. That's something I also know from my work as a trauma therapist, that if I can support people to be with their difficult experiences in a sensory way, it begins to transform that experience and create lasting shifts in the person's nervous system, in the person's brain, in their breathing. It's a global shift. And it's very important in our lives. Okay, thank you for joining session 5.